It's our Season 1 recap show. Sit back and enjoy. Hello, and welcome everybody to another episode of Chevron Locked, a different kind of episode today. Today we're going to do our first of many recap shows. This is not going to be as long as our normal podcasts are. We're basically, Kevin and I are going to take a look at, we just finished up Season 1, and we are going to look at Season 1 on a whole. We'll talk about a few episodes, talk about what we enjoyed, maybe what we didn't. Talk about episodes that maybe stood out a little bit more than others. Kevin, how you doing, bud?
Doing good.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you're still there. We literally just recorded episode 8, so...
I haven't died in the meantime.
I hope not, dude. I mean, you got somebody there who can do mouth-to-mouth for you?
Yeah, but I'm not sure she would today.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, so let's just start with, what? Children of the Gods?
Children of the Gods.
Okay, that was episode 1. That was us getting a look at the recasting of SG-1, the TV version of SG-1. Kind of a recapping of the movie almost, with some with pushing it forward a little bit more. But it was more of just, your basic setup episode. Yeah,
pretty much, giving us the reintroduced O'Neill, changing him up, and kind of going from there.
Yep. Are you looking at the episode listing right now by any chance?
Yeah, I got it pulled up on IMDb so we can make sure we don't skip anything.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. So the first few episodes, Children of the Gods, Enemy Within, Emancipation, Broke a Divide, what kind of stood out for you in those first few episodes there?
I just kind of love how it opens up the world. We've got Children of the Gods, and suddenly, boom, we've got access to every other planet we could ever imagine. Such a great start for a premise for a show.
I agree. I think that I would assume, at least, that when they started the development of the TV series, that they knew they were going to have to take this off world.
Oh yeah, that's their pitch. That's exactly. I love that they start off with that immediately, where we get Apophis coming through the gate, stealing some people, and going who knows where because they didn't go back to Daniel, and that's what opens it up to everybody else.
Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. I thought those first few episodes were good setup pieces.
Yep, Children of the Gods 1 and 2 and Enemy Within were that complete story that could have been its own movie.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think that with content like that, this is where TV shines. Because you can spend more time, like where you would have to condense material for like an hour and a half or a 2-hour movie, let's say, you can now spread that out over the course of a series or over the course of a series or a season or 2 or 3 episodes. It
gives you a little more room to be flexible. You don't have to be as direct and on point as a movie does to introduce you to that character. You don't have to rely so heavily on the tropes to make you feel something for them. I loved it.
Correct. And on top of that, you can flush out a lot of storylines.
Yeah.
Which that's the big thing for me is flushing out of the storylines.
Oh yeah, we see it in this season. We go back a couple of times and sort of relive the what happens in the first episode, where we're with the Jaffa, where their Teal turns coat on everybody. It's great that we can see that and get different layers of it as we're going through the series and the seasons.
Correct, and not to mention the fact that we are introduced to a new character of SG-1. Teal,
Yeah, absolutely.
Who wasn't in the movie, and I mean, really, I guess we're introduced to a kind of a whole new SG-1. It was
replaced
just
the general in the meantime. So now we get Hammond instead of General West from the movie.
Yep.
We're bringing in Sam, who was not in the movie, but they say that she was in the Pentagon, researching it the whole time.
Yep. But yeah, no, I thought those 2/3 episodes, were a great introduction into what we would be getting in terms of also, and we talked about this, our very first podcast. It had to have been the very first podcast where we get a different version of Jack O'Neill.
Yeah. Different spelling, different attitude, different everything.
Yeah. Like a whole new take on that character.
Even his son's name is different. Goes from Tyler to Charlie.
Oh, that's weird. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I wonder why the change then.
They wanted to distance themselves. This is, as far as we know, this is this quote unquote same story, but I think it's a slightly different universe. We see later in one of the episodes here, when Daniel goes through the looking glass into that alternate reality. This is, in my canon, an alternate reality from the movie.
Okay.
Things are close, but not quite.
Correct. All right. No, I think that's a very good take on it. I really do. So continuing through the season, once we get out of those 3 episodes, we kind of get into the meat of SG-1. We kind of get into what we're going to see week to week, episode to episode with Broken Divide, First Commandment, and Cold Lazarus. Broken Divide, First Commandment, Cold Lazarus.
Don't skip Emancipation either, where we get the Mongols.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Emancipation.
No. We get into Broken Divide, where we've got a completely different culture, based on the Brahmian culture.
Correct.
And then we've got, Boy Meets World's dad lording over some primitive people. So, I mean, you're right. We're getting different cultures. We're getting a view. It's a fantastic start. In these first 6 episodes, we're seeing the worlds. We're seeing that it's not just Egyptian culture, that it's not just Goa'uld out there. It's diversity. It's different points of view. It's different biologies. It's amazing.
Yep. And I'm going to rehash what I talked about with the First Commandment. I thought that was awesome that we got a look at a rogue SG-1 team that quickly into the show.
Oh, yeah.
That they addressed that so fast. I just thought that was a very strong episode for me out of this season.
Power corrupts,
Yeah.
It's a trope of TV shows and movies that you get a lot of military people or policemen and things like that abuse their power. Doesn't happen that often, but it does make for good TV.
Yo, you're damn right, dude. You're absolutely damn right. And, I loved Broken Divide too.
Yep.
And again, Broken Divide, we got another payoff towards the end of the season.
Yeah, where they come back.
Where they absolutely come back and rehash.
Yep.
Or at least, I don't want to say rehash. They bring them back, partially as a point for the show, but 2, I think they bring them back as a reminder saying, hey, this is still out there.
Bigger world. We have allies now.
Yeah. Like we're developing ourselves, outside of Earth now. So,
they try to do the right thing in Cold Lazarus by returning the crystals.
Yep.
They get treated like children in the Nox, but we see the Nox again. They're allies of ours in some form or another too.
Yep. Again, same episode that we get the throwback to Broken Divide. We get the throwback to the Nox. I still like the Nox as an episode. I know you didn't care for it as much as I did.
But it's not that I didn't care for it. I think there's a lot more to explore there, and really I'm just disappointed that we don't really get meat from that episode.
Yeah, and I would partially agree with you there that there was a wealth of things, but I think that for me I kind of liked that episode because of the fact that we weren't shown everything that there was to be shown there, that they did kind of leave it open, like maybe we'll come back here. Maybe when SG-1 kind of develops a little bit more, we'll come back here and we'll explore this a little bit more,
Yeah, I mean, I just thinking about it now, I guess they're like the adults and they're going to let us fight the bully off rather than intercede. And that's fine. The bully being the Goa'uld.
Yep, absolutely.
How do you grow? You fight back.
Exactly. And then, of course, fairly quick into the season, we get Thor's hammer. which was a very, one great episode. I think both of us really like that episode, but on top of that, it's what it does for the future running of the show.
Sure.
You know, I think that Thor's Hammer that's the earliest representation of something that's going to be built on, more to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
got, between the Norse, between the Unas, all of that, you see the woman that was freed of her Goa'uld, that opens up another possible storyline for everybody. You see the Goa'uld hand device that she's using, and she can use it after she's been freed from her Goa'uld. Mm-hmm. Little points like that you don't think of at the time that just they're building on them.
Yep, absolutely. And in fact, wasn't she just mentioned on our last podcast I think Daniel referenced her in Serpent's Grasp. I think.
Really? Huh.
I think, or maybe Serpent Slayer. Anyway, they're talking about, Jax wants to communicate with Skara, and
yeah,
and Daniel had referenced that. And again, it was a very small off the cuff reference.
That's right. Yeah, he said that she remembered being in the host. Yeah,
correct. So again, very small, very off the cuff, but it's just the fact that it was thrown out there. And it helps just to remind you that there are other things going on, that this stuff is still relevant to the team and to the storyline in and of itself.
Yep.
So, Torment of Tantalus, that was not one for me. Not one of my favorite episodes so far. I just felt like, although it did, continue the storyline further, the overall arc storyline, that we were introduced to the possibility of 4 races, right?
Yep. That's where we first get that, so that we know the Nox are in that, but it does push that forward, and I'm sad that we lose all that information. And
yes.
I'm sad in the later episode where Daniel goes through There But For the Grace of God, when he's in the alternate dimension and he brings that up to Catherine. My heart broke because all I could think was, he's dead now.
Yeah.
In that reality, he is dead.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Because they weren't there. They didn't get him out. He's not saved.
Yeah, that was it. But, Torment of Tantalus, Bloodlines where they went to Chulak?
Yep. They go back.
Okay.
They meet, Teal'c's family. And, we're introduced to, Tecmate Braytak.
Yeah. Who, again, shows up at the end of the season and becomes, we start to get the idea that he's going to become a seminal character.
Yeah. We really don't see anyone but him resisting in Bloodlines. By the end, I'm assuming the guards that were outside the cell were working with him. Otherwise, they were the chillest guards ever.
True. But, and then, even in the last episode of season 1, there was a very small reference to Teal'c's son.
Yep.
That Braytak brings that up and says, he's becoming a great warrior and all that type of stuff. So, there was so much thrown at us this first season, that there wasn't a whole lot of, filler episodes in here, I didn't think.
No, not a ton. I mean, I think the most filler episode we get, aside from the clip show at the end, is, I don't know, but I'd say it's probably, Korai, if I had to pick one.
I was gonna go Korai or possibly Fire and Water.
Maybe.
Only because I can't remember that didn't really give us any new knowledge that we needed to know for the overall story. It provided us with some more depth, It provided us with a look at another race, and it kind of provided another layer of Earth's kind of involvement in the universe in terms of, because it did talk about ancient Babylonian and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those two were probably the ones that didn't really push it too far. 10 Man maybe.
But it we heard from James last week when we talked about Tin Men. We'll see them again, so that does play into a larger story. So,
but looking at this as if you've never sat and watched the show, you don't know that.
Then that's a standalone. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know? So, but I mean, shit, the Nox could have been a standalone, up until, what?
True.
You know, Enigma? Is that where they came back?
It was Enigma, yeah.
Enigma,
we were trying to find a home for the Tolan.
Yeah, you're right. So, and then Hathor, of course, we get more depth about the Goa'uld. We get a little bit more backstory.
Yep.
And we got a really good episode. I really like that episode, man.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorites this season.
Nice little episode, you know, good little bottle episode. Keeps everything nice and compact.
Yep. And then of course, Singularity, pardon me. Singularity, another great episode. Korai, Enigma, Solitudes. See, Solitudes, and again, we spent a little bit of time talking about it. Solitudes was my overall favorite this season so far.
For how much it sets up, it's a spectacular episode.
Yeah, I just really wish that could have been a two-parter, man. And you had mentioned something when that I think that was episode 6 that we talked about Solitudes, that you had mentioned that episode should not have ended with Hammond in the cave with the Stargate behind him.
No.
You know, that should have been 2 episodes, I think. But on the flip side of that, on the other side of that argument, you know, you making that 1 episode leaves your viewers with questions, which I'm completely okay with the show leaving me with questions until it comes back up.
I am made of questions.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. As long as you handle it well when you retread this. I think my only problem thus far is that we've had 10 man there for the grace of God politics. So we've had 4 more episodes this season, plus 2 so far in season 2, where it's not even talked about, at least like hinted at, like somebody could use that. Hey, Hammond, what's up with that? Where's the other Stargate that we found? Oh yeah, hey, that's right. You know,
this is the U.S. government you're talking about. They have the Ark of the Covenant hidden in a warehouse.
That's true. But yeah, I wish that it would get brought up here quicker than normal. So
no,
10 man, another episode where I think I actually enjoyed that a little bit more than you did.
Yeah.
I think that, again, I think I mentioned it. That's one of those episodes that I would probably recommend somebody watching just because I love the writing in it. I love the acting, everything. So.
Yeah, it's a good, like hardcore sci-fi with a little bit of wackiness, which I think is the tagline for this entire series.
That is a perfect tagline for this entire series, to be honest with you. And it's Jack O'Neill that comes in with the wackiness for the most part.
It always is. I mean, he's the one that carries this show. He's the entire reason I watch this show. And people's interactions with him and people being the straight man for him and him being the straight man for the science technology. It's a great synergistic relationship that he has with this content.
Yep. No, I agree with you. 100% agree with you. Then we got There, But for the Grace of God, which I think we both really liked.
Yeah.
That episode.
Yep. That's another one. Leaves spectacular possibilities for them to expand on in the future.
Yep. Did they ever go back and get that mirror, by the way?
We don't know that they did from this episode, but I assume they did. That's the thing is, I think there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that we don't see, where they send other teams to mop up, to sort of take what they can from all of these abandoned planets that they find, and to continue trade with planets that aren't abandoned, things like that. The SG-1 and those teams, the first couple of teams, are sort of the first responders through the gate. And then they have like SG-6 who'd go through back and, perform diplomatic things and expand on that.
Which, side note, how would you like to play cleanup behind SG-1 half the time?
Oh, I'd give my left leg for it.
Oh, really? Because I think that'd be the world's most annoying job. Like, out of all the times that they just fucking go to a new planet and just start poking the bear, You know, and then
no, absolutely. But think of how much awesome stuff you get to play with when there's no threat of you destroying the world. Because Daniel has already touched everything that can kill you, and Carter has already disabled anything that can explode the universe. So Jack has already stuck his face in anything that's gonna, ruin you genetically. You're good.
Yeah. No, you're true. Yeah, you're right. But man, they seem to, there's a bit of a tornado with them sometimes.
Oh, they're the Tasmanian devil of exploration teams.
They really are, dude. And half the time, you know what? I'd say more than half the time, it's Daniel's fault.
It's always Daniel's fault.
You have one job, communication and deciphering shit.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, nobody needs you to translate anymore. We all speak English.
Yeah. So it's good knowing you, Daniel. Guess you're off the team now.
Yep.
And then we finish off with politics and Serpent's Grasp.
Yeah. Which politics, clip show, boring, paperwork, blah.
Yep.
And then Serpent's Grasp is the, cliffhanger ending that didn't feel so cliffhangery when you watch them back to back with Serpent's Lair.
Yeah. No, I agree. At the end of the day, I liked those episodes. I liked they moved the story further.
Mm-hmm.
I like the visuals, like we talked about. I was like, really? Like, there was no, I didn't feel like there was enough suspense there to be a cliffhanger,
No, it's a good cap to the end, but it's not a great cap.
Correct. But I still enjoyed them. I really did. And, overall, thoroughly loved season 1. It really just gets me super excited for season 2.
I can't wait. Now I think this show's hitting its stride, and hopefully complaints will go down.
Yeah, no kid. Well, and like we talked about, man, you can find any little minor thing to complain about. Any, really any of your favorite shows.
Are you kidding? My favorite shows, favorite movies, everything. I'm the nitpicky type. It doesn't mean I don't love it. Correct.
I just, and you know what? The ones that I do, it's just because I find them funny a little bit sometimes,
Oh, yeah. You know how many problems in shows and movies could be solved with a Post-it note that just says, I'm going to the store?
That's true. Yeah. But no, overall, I was really, and I think we've talked about this on a few episodes, I was really impressed with the overall visuals of everything.
Yeah.
The acting, was always really good. And the writing was phenomenal for most of these episodes. Some of the episodes had a bit stronger writing than others, but I don't think there was any bad writing so far, in my opinion.
No, not that we've encountered. I think that one of my favorite things about something as big as SG-1 and the whole Stargate universe is the other fans and the conversations around that. I was reading on Reddit earlier about, cause someone was talking about the visuals of season 1 and how you have the Jaffa that have the head pieces that don't fold down like they do in the movies, and how that was a little disappointing because it's going from in the movies where it folds down and completely disappears to suddenly it just kind of moves back from their head. Someone was like, well, what we saw in the movie was Ra, the leader, and he has the best stuff, and he's not going to give that same technology to everyone below him. And I think that that's a cool headcanon explanation for what is in reality a budget issue in the show.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfect way to look at, like, there's so much stuff on this series that you could definitely take that approach with,
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and someone else had a similar thought about where the iris goes when it disappears, and that it sort of does the same thing that the helmets do. We took that technology and we sort of reverse engineered it and used it on the iris so that now we can fold that up in a way so it disappears.
Ooh. Yeah.
Boom.
Mind blown.
Yeah, I think that one was in Ask Science Fiction on Reddit.
Okay. So, I mean, really at the end of the day, my favorite part of this season 1 was the fucking iris.
Oh, absolutely. I know. That's why every time there's a sound, I make a note.
Yeah. It's just, we talk about it. It's a very fulfilling sound, but even from a, just a storyline setup, like that's a great piece of tech now,
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
like
absolutely.
now that you've gone out there and you poked the fucking bear, and now people are interested in saying, hey, well, who the fuck are you? Now you got this, now you have different people that may want to come towards Earth, and, you kind of develop some sort of defense. And that was a great, just added piece to everything.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's sort of one of those things that makes sense. It makes complete sense when you look at it, because why do you have a doorway without a door on it? Why would you want to leave it open for anybody to show up unannounced?
Exactly. And that's what's great about the movie, is that the movie, they had no idea. They didn't know what the hell was out there. So why? I don't think they looked at it at that point. I think they looked at it after,
Well,
after they realized there's some evil shit out there. Yeah.
It was just a one way to Abydos and back. That was it.
Yeah. Well, that was supposed to be it.
Well.
But, Daniel can't do his job, and he's a fucking liar. And he's lucky that shit worked out. But no, overall, yeah, I loved season 1. I think that's just a safe bet to say right now.
Nice.
I'm just really excited about all the new stuff that they've added to the mythos.
Yep.
And I'm very excited to dive into season 2.
Solid season. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, that was just a little recap that we wanted to do. We wanted to kind of keep it fresh and talk about those episodes. So, thanks for tuning in. Like always, we appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you next week for episode 9, isn't it?
And, yeah, episode 9. And as always, there's links to our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube down in the show notes and on chevronlock.com. And don't forget to rate us on iTunes and tell a friend.
Yeah, good night.
Night.